Hey guys, Pastor Kevin, Pastor Bob in the house. What did you call yourself? What did you say? You were the, the ghost speaker or the
Mystery guest.
Mystery guest. Bob. Bob's not a mystery guest. Everybody knows Bob. But anyways, so we're starting the book of Job today, and honestly, there wasn't anyone that I wanted to do this book with us more than Pastor Bob and his experience, not just educationally, clinically, professionally, but with your life as well. And, it's Bob knows what's what when it comes to the book of Job. And I'm just excited about this. We have 8 episodes together. I know we're halfway through the year, nearly now with the scripture itself. We've almost made it to the book of Psalms, which is the halfway point of the Bible. But again, guys, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the notifications bell so you know when it's posted, and comment as well. But this journey through Job, it's going to be a fast one. So much more depth that we could get into, but we're excited about this. Let's go on this journey of Job together. All right, Bob, episode 147, Job begins. Give me an overall thought of the book of Job before we trudge into these 40 plus chapters.
I think Job is just a fantastic book of poetry that shows the presence of God in the midst of our lives during the best of times, during the worst of times, and every time in between.
Why do you call it a book of poetry?
It's just...
I know the answer to this, but why do you call it a book of poetry?
Well, for me, it's poetry simply because of the structure, the format, the layout of just the flow of the events and the speeches and how God just orchestrates it all. It's poetic in that it's God's total orchestration. He's in control. That's the way I see it as being poetic.
It is, and it's an epic poem. Now, some people would say, oh, Pastor Kevin, are you saying it's fictional?
No.
I'm going to look right in the camera and go, no, it's not fictional. This is nonfiction. Job's a real person.
Yes.
The book of Revelation is a masterful poem.
Yes.
At the same time, it's nonfiction. It's very real. Okay,
Absolutely.
It's all of those things. But, when we look at the book of Job, so let's be honest, guys. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 10 points on Job 1 through 5. 10 points on Job 1 through 5. We're already at 3 minutes into this episode. There is no way we are going to make it through the intricacy of the book of Job. It was interesting. Yesterday, I'm mowing my grass, thinking about this. And I thought, well, I wasn't mowing yesterday. I was weeding yesterday, actually. I have the dirty fingernails to prove it. I try my best to get them clean, but, that's another story. But I thought we really need an entire podcast kind of season for the book of Job, because I just think it's so vitally important for people to understand so they know how to walk through their seasons of grief.
Yeah. And I think these 10 points are just very light on the surface, just touching the surface.
They clearly are.
Yeah.
So let me just kind of read down through my 10 points for you as we enter into these first 5 chapters. Number 1, who is Job? 2, first conversation between God and Satan. Mm-hmm. Then you get the destruction of everything that Job held dear, okay, except for his faith. And what is Job's response? It's a worshipful response. Mm-hmm. 4th thing, it's the second conversation between God and Satan, the destruction again of Job's own physical body, nearly to the point of death, but not quite, because God said you can't kill him. And then once again, Job's response. Then those 3
friends
friends show up, and they do the only smart thing they do through the entire thing. They keep their mouth shut.
Set in silence.
Then you see Job's lament, Job's worst fears coming to light. Then, seventh thing, Eliphaz's incorrect response. There's a point in there which I find fascinating, which is Satan's manipulation of the situation. Ninth thing, what a low blow by Eliphaz as chapter 5 begins. And he calls Job to receive God's discipline. And then as chapter 5 ends, just a complete lack of empathy. So why don't we do this? Why don't we kind of talk, and Pastor James and I have talked about this a lot on previous episodes. I think a lot of people say, okay, here's this guy, amazing man, super righteous, super successful, super wealthy. Kid's a little bit of a mess out there partying. Job will even come around, intercede for his children all the time. If Job is such a great guy, what in the world is going down between God and Satan in these two conversations? Why put Job through this? You know, if I had to ask you how you would characterize the two conversations that God and Satan have concerning Job, how would you characterize that, Bob?
Well, first we know Satan is a liar and there's no truth in him. And so as he has fallen, as he has lost, as he has done all this, he wants to take as many with him as he can.
I would agree.
He wants to bring out the deception in people. He wants to bring out the sinful nature of people. And he just challenges God in a way to show that because of all the blessings and gifts that he has given to Job, that's the only reason that Job loves him. And God, in his ultimate control, said, no, again, you're wrong. And I'll show you. And
Job's faith is not founded upon and footers dug down deep. It's not founded upon prosperity,
absolutely,
success, personal righteousness, though that's what the friends claim that he has founded everything upon.
And that's what Satan puts forth as well.
100%. Yeah. And that's the rub here. Satan is saying, look, you're wrong, God, which is crazy in and of itself. Like of all the people who should have known, it's Satan who should have known. But again, it reveals the arrogance of Satan. Absolutely. Even in his defeated state, he still believes somehow God's wrong, he's right, and he's going to prove to God. It's almost like another attempt at becoming God himself, so that God has to somehow bow the knee to Satan in all of this, which is ridiculous. I mean, it's just completely ridiculous. But this is why, and I think it's so significant, because so many people found their faith in success, prosperity, health. And somehow if those things go away in their minds, it's a lessening of God's active presence in our lives, God's love for us, God's care for us. For some people, it's a destruction of their own faith, because all of their faith was in those things. So, oh my gosh, they're not here anymore. Somehow I'm living a lie. None of those things are true at all. I mean, at all.
And, because of that, when we see someone in the midst of their grief in a pastoral session, you often hear the question, if God is so loving, if God is so benevolent, why would he allow something like this to happen? Because they put so much faith in these material goods. How come I lost all this? Why did God take this from me?
Yeah, can't. Okay, and I know this is tough. Look, guys, listen. I know this is tough. This isn't going to be one you just kick back on and go, oh yeah, this is going to require thought. Okay, you've experienced loss in your life.
Absolutely.
I've experienced loss in my life. Your loss, which we've already talked about this, you're going to open up personally and share during this study. Mm-hmm. And I say this with the utmost respect, the utmost love for you. your loss isn't greater than this person's loss.
Absolutely not.
It's loss.
Absolutely.
When we start keeping score whose loss is worse, it's loss.
Yes.
It's also temporary if we have eternal vision. And I know that's difficult for people.
Yes.
I know that's difficult. But for me, my mom dies February 10th of this year. For me, it becomes a matter of patience. And when you begin to look at Paul's description of love in 1 Corinthians 13, Paul doesn't start it with love is euphoric. He doesn't start it with, love is kind. He starts it with, kind is in there. Right. Euphoric is not.
Right.
What he starts it with is, love is patience. So for me, and some would say, well, you're not your dad. You weren't married to your mom for 59 years. You don't know the pain your dad. No, that's right. I'm not my dad. Absolutely. I don't know the pain my dad feels. I know the pain of a son. Mm-hmm. I know my faith. I know my mother raised me to love Jesus with heart, soul, mind, and strength. I know all those things. And so here's what I know. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. My mother confessed her sins. She welcomed Jesus Christ as her Lord and Savior. Mm-hmm. My mother is present with God.
Absolutely.
And so this really is a matter of patience on my part. Mm-hmm. If I love my mother, then I need to be patient. Love is patient. I need to be patient and have an eternal vision to see that I will one day be reunited with my mother as I believe in the reality of eternity.
And that's the thing. We need to validate people's pain and hurt.
Yes.
It's real, but we have to do it in the light of hope. The hope of the resurrection, the hope that Jesus gives us, life eternal. We have to live in that presence. So, we can't compare.
I mean, think, Bob, how many funerals have you done over the years?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, exactly. How many funerals have I done over the years? This is why John 14 is read. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither be afraid. You believe in all. Yeah. You believe in God, believe also in me. For in my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, would I have told you? And if I told you, I'm going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go there and prepare a place for you, I'm going to come back again, that you can be with me for all time. So this is what Jesus is saying. Look, I'm about to go away, and you guys aren't going to see me until you die. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you, if you'll just be patient, our love won't die. It will grow and grow and grow, and we never have to say goodbye. We will be together for eternity. But do you want to live for the temporal flesh, or do you want to live for eternity, which ultimately redeems the flesh? We're not trying to get rid of the flesh. We're trying to get it redeemed. Yeah. And I think that's what Satan is saying to God here. No. He lives for the flesh. No. It's the Spirit that sanctifies the flesh. It's not the flesh that validates the Spirit. And I say that, hear that again. It's the Spirit that sanctifies the flesh. It's not the flesh that validates the Spirit. You see, that's huge in all of this. It's huge in all of this. You talk about leaving space for people's emotion. You talk about leaving space for grief. We talk about Job's friends.
Yes.
Chapter 2. Let me read this to you guys. Chapter 2. Start with verse 11. When Job's three friends, Eliphaz the Timnite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite, heard about all the troubles that had come upon Job, they set out from their homes and met together by agreement. Why? To go and sympathize with him and comfort him. When they saw him from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. They began to weep aloud, and they tore their robes and sprinkled dust on their heads. Then they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights. No one said a word to him because they saw how great his suffering was. How important is silence in terms of meeting people in their suffering?
They started out perfect. You can't get better than that. They were practicing the ministry of presence. They were there. They were sitting with him. They had empathy for him. They wept even before they saw him. And that's what it means. You just have to be there. You don't have to have the right thing to say. You don't have to do anything. Just your presence brings comfort in the midst of that grief. And boy, they had it so right.
I have a definition of empathy. What's your definition of empathy?
My definition of empathy is feeling the pain of others. You feel the pain yourself as if it is happening to you. You are experiencing that pain with them.
Yeah, you meet them at the
Exactly
point,
where they
the
are.
point of their destination, or the point of their present reality. Whether that's true, false, whatever. I mean, the pain is real.
The pain is real.
And I love how Job, listen, you know this. Some people know this. Other people are just learning this. There's a lot of the book of Job, which you better not quote as the character of God, because Job is struggling. Mm-hmm. And there's lots of things that Job says. There's lots of things that the three friends say. There's lots of things that Elihu say that it's not even remotely true about God.
Right.
And for us to just quote the book of Job carte blanche without doing it contextually, we might mischaracterize God. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we can get in some trouble there.
And that's the beauty of empathy. All right,
Yes.
we're just meeting Job where he is. We're
That's
not trying
it.
to fix him. We're not trying to correct him. We're just trying to meet him. That's it. Just trying. Now, we're not going to call right wrong, and we're not going to call wrong right. We're just meeting.
That's it.
Leaving
just
space.
there. Yeah.
You know I have that talker listener card in my office. Mm-hmm. Listen, not my problem, and it doesn't mean no my problem. This is Job's issue.
Yes.
So we're going to meet Job and give him space to bring clarity to his thoughts and feelings. We're going to give him a safe space so clarity can be brought to his thoughts and to his feelings. What he's thinking, what he's feeling. And you guys are going to read this over and over and over and over again throughout the book of Job. What's Job thinking about the situation? You know, well, initially it's, okay, look, I'm not going to go back on God. I'm going to worship God. His wife says at the second strike, curse God and die. He said, no way, you're talking like a crazy person. You know, why would I curse God? No way. He's blessed me and I praised him. Now I receive pain and I'm still going to praise him, you know? So it's allowing a safe space for thoughts and emotions. And as that safe space comes, clarity is brought. And then ultimately we find ourselves in a place of truth.
The questioning of the pain is not a bad thing.
Oh, no.
Job wants to know why. And
Yep.
we do the same thing. Why am I feeling this? Why am I experiencing this? And that's not belittling God in any way. You're still holding in God. That's what Job was doing. And it's okay to do it. That's all through the psalm everywhere, those laments.
It's so funny you mentioned that because that's what I wrote about chapter 3, Job's lament. Yeah. And then you see Job's worst fear being realized. Look at 25, chapter 3, verse 25. What I feared has come upon me. What I dreaded has happened to me. Yeah. That was probably part of his intercession for his kids every time they were like that. I don't want my kids to experience what they passed away. Yeah. Every single one of them in a moment, Mm-hmm. Everything I've worked for my whole life in terms of my occupation in life, gone. All of the people, all of his servants. I mean, you think about that. One came back. Everybody else dies. Mm-hmm. He literally loses everything. All that's left is the property that he owns and him and his wife and 3 or 4 servants. That's it. I mean, that is it. My worst fears have come upon me. What I dreaded has happened to me. And the sad thing about this is, good golly, Eliphaz's response is painful. He starts talking when he should have just said, just left him the space.
Said
now,
nothing.
If Eliphaz was asked, it sounds to me, Job, like, I mean, we've been trained in
Yes.
this, but it's to ultimately meet him where he is. I hear you. It seems like the greatest fear that you have has clearly come before you. Your greatest dread has come into play. Then just shut your mouth.
You let it go.
Just
Yeah.
let it go and see where Job goes from there. And when Job finally gets it all out, then we can start moving ahead. You see what I'm saying? But then we get down here in verses 7 and 8. Oh my gosh. Now we start blaming Job. Chapter 4, verses 7 and 8. And again, guys, I know we're going long on these. There's just so much there. We're going to do our best to keep them as brief as possible. But this is such an important book, okay? Chapter 4, verses 7 and 8. This is what Eliphaz says to Job. Consider now, who being innocent has ever perished? Where were the upright ever destroyed? As I've observed, those who plow evil and those who sow trouble reap it. Mm-hmm. Eliphaz is looking at Job and saying, your sins have found you out. Yeah. If you do good, you'll get good. If you'll do bad, you get bad. That's completely contrary to what Jesus teaches. He says it rains on the just and the unjust. But why do so many people believe that somehow life is transactional?
We fall into that same trap with people who are grieving. We give accusations and condemnations and saying you, in essence, you reap what you sow kind of thing. If you hadn't have done this might not have happened to you. And it's not about that.
It's not about it at all.
Yeah.
We talk all the time about atmosphere versus transaction. And, okay, look, you're a gardener. You get it. You have to have good soil. You have to have good seed.
Have good soil, yeah.
You have to have sunlight. You have to have water. You have to have time. You have to have all these things in order for there to be a strong root system, a tall stalk, a strong stalk, branches that reach out, and fruit that is produced. That's very different than, well, I planted a seed. Yeah. I'm going to get a plant with fruit on it. Okay, that one thing is one thing and the other thing is another thing. And what we're reading about here is the conditions of the world that must be fought through so that the fruitfulness of eternity can come forth. That's very different than what Eliphaz is saying here.
Yes.
Well, you must have planted bad seed all along while you were telling us you were planting good seed. See, you got bad fruit because you planted bad seed. No, that's not the case at all.
A lot of accusations.
Tons. Yeah. Another thing that I notice here, and I want you guys to see this, Satan's manipulation that occurs here, okay? Eliphaz is justifying what he's saying. Look here, verse 12, chapter 4, verse 12. Eliphaz says, I know that what I'm saying is right. And let me tell you how I know that what I'm saying is right. A word was secretly brought to me. My ears caught a whisper of it. Amid disquieting dreams in the night, when deep sleep falls on people, fear and trembling seized me and made all my bones shake. A spirit glided past my face. I wonder what spirit that was. How many times are we attributing a word that we have to a spirit that glided past our face? Well, the Bible clearly says, Paul teaches to the church at Corinth and to all of us, that the enemy can disguise himself as an angel of light. Mm-hmm. A spirit glided past my face. I know this is true because a spirit glided past my face and the hair on my body stood on end. I felt it, baby. I thought, it had to be true.
Yeah.
The hair on my neck stood up. Really? It stopped, but I couldn't tell what it was. A form stood by my eyes and I heard a hushed voice. Mm-hmm. Can a mortal be more righteous than God? Can even a strong man be more pure than his maker? If God places no trust in his servants, if he charges his angels with error, how much more those who live in houses of clay, whose foundations are in the dust, who are crushed more readily than a moth? Between dawn and dusk, they're broken to pieces. Unnoticed, they perish forever. not the cords of their tent pulled up, so that they die without wisdom. It wasn't just the destruction of his children. It wasn't just the destruction of his livestock. It wasn't just the destruction of his, kind of exterior body. Now, one of the greatest destructions that Satan attempts to pull off is the whispering into the ear of the friends to break him down and break him down. If I can't get him by taking everything he has, if I can't get him by taking his body, his exterior physical body and bringing him pain, if I can't kill him, I'll break him down internally. I'll submit him. I'll make him say uncle, and I'll do it with his friends. What? And there it is.
And he is so good at that whispering. Did God really say you would surely die?
If you are who you say you are, come down from there. It all seems so innocent. It all seems so prove yourself. There it is. Now watch this low blow. Oh my gosh. Eliphaz, chapter 5, verses 1 through 5. Call if you will, but who will answer you? To which one of the holy ones will you turn? Resentment kills a fool, and envy slays the simple. Really? Tell me how you really feel. I myself have seen a fool taking root, but suddenly his house was cursed. He's calling Job a fool.
Yep.
Now watch this. His children are far from safety, crushed in court without a defender. Think about that. Your children died because they were all a bunch of drunks.
Yep.
And you tried to go in and offer these sacrifices for them. And I'm telling you, God has had his way with your children. Excuse me, Eliphaz? The hungry consume his harvest. Holy smokes, this is fresh. And Eliphaz is ripping Job, taking it even from among the thorns, and the thirsty pant after his wealth. Oh my gosh. This is his friend? This is his buddy?
He's laying it on.
That is terrible. And it goes down here to verse 27 where it says, we have examined this and it is true. So you hear it and you apply it to yourself. I mean, Job hasn't even said anything to these guys. He's not even firing off at them. He's just pouring out his heart. I have a counselor friend of mine who says emotional vomit. Sometimes you just need to emotionally vomit.
Let it out.
And let it out.
Yeah,
get it out of you, man. And that is all Job had done at that point.
Yeah.
And Eliphaz immediately starts telling him how wrong he is. That's awful. Just
it is
awful.
There's no empathy. There's not even sympathy.
No, well, that's true. Hey, let me ask you this. We'll bring this to a close. We've kind of gone double the time here. Let's talk about this for a second. In all your years working with grief, best piece of advice you can give? I know it's hard to reduce it to one thing.
Boy, it is.
Somebody that's wanting to be a good friend to a Job in their life, best piece of advice, Bob?
Simply be present.
That's it.
Whatever they need, be present.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's good. All right, guys, you can see we are almost a half hour into this, and there's so much there. We'll try to hold them to 15 to 20 minutes, but it's going to be tough. But there you go, guys. First episode of Job. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow.